Welcome back to Drola's Garage. Today Piggy and I are here with the GT3. I got the parts to fix the transmission, output flange, and the seal and the CV boot kit. So, and the oil. So let's get this thing going. Let's get it up in the air and get her done. Stay tuned. Right, Piggy? You gonna fix the GT3? So these are the parts I had to order. I got the CV boot here, the output flange seal, some grease, and that's it. I forgot to order, I didn't realize, actually, not that I forgot, but I didn't realize that the CV boot kit did not come with this outer clamp, or whatever you want to call that, the sealing ring. So I'll see if I have one. If not, I'll just use a zip tie in the meantime, and I'll go ahead and order one. But even just a zip tie should keep that pretty sealed up. And then I got to go through all of this stuff here and just clean it up. The output flange, the flange, the CV joint, I don't want to touch it yet because it's covered in grease and there's just no way to do this without making a complete mess of grease. So I'm gonna change my clothes, I'm gonna put some gloves on, and I'm gonna start knocking this out. I went and got my tub of parts washer solution. I'm not going to crank up the parts washer because I got to dump all the stuff inside the parts washer and then drain it because I don't use the parts washer often enough to, all that stuff will evaporate. So every time I fill up the parts washer, I got to go ahead and drain it. So I got the bolts in here, as you can see. Let's see. You can see all of them in there. Getting all cleaned up. This thing cleaned up like brand new. I found a ring that I took off the old CV boot, so I can use this one for the inside of the, for here. This one I'm not going to use. So that's it. I can't film and work on this. This stuff is messy. All that grease gets everywhere. Anybody who's ever done this knows that this is probably one of the least pleasant jobs in the automotive industry. CV boots, they are just messy. So anyway, I need my hands. I got to put the camera down. I'll come back once I have this CV joint taken apart and cleaned out. All right, well, I figured I can put the camera down like that. Let me get all of these guys cleaned up. I'll save those for last. This is the big one here. You gotta get all that grease out. And there is a lot of it. God, it makes a mess. Let's see, let's get this thing taken apart. Come on, there you go. There we go. Get all that caked on grease loosened up. Now I gotta pop this cover off of the CV joint because this goes on the boot, as you can see. The new boot comes with this piece, so I need to get it off. All right, I'll be back. So here are the components for the CV. This is the old one. This one did not want to come off. I had to take a grinder and cut it here and here to release the pressure so that it would come off. So now I got to put it back together. So let me work on that. messed up here a little bit. I got to take this cap back off because I got to put this on the shaft first so that then I can put the circlip on it. And then I put the cap on. So I got to take that off. No big deal. The next step is to remove the oil seal here. So I'm going to use my oil seal puller here and get up in there and pull that seal out so I can replace it. All right, new oil seal in. Put the flange on and the bolt. And I got to torque that bolt to 33 foot-pounds. All right, so I got the flange in, torque down to 33 foot-pounds. Now I can go ahead and start putting the axle and everything back together. Cross my fingers and hope that that does it. And as easily as I'm ready to continue working here, I'm reminded that I got to take this wheel off, because remember I had to take all of this apart so I can get the hub to pivot to the outside, to get the axle here to give me some space, otherwise there's no room, so that I can go ahead and assemble it. So I got to take this wheel off, and I think I got to take the dog bones on the top off, and anyway, got to do that. All right, I had to take a little break here from filming because my hands were covered in grease. As you can see, this grease goes everywhere. All the tools are covered in grease. This little towel here is completely saturated in grease. So anyway, I couldn't really be filming. All right, so I got everything here back together. The dog bones. I had to take the toe link out. I had so I put that back. What else? The shock. I still need to put the sway bar back. I got the axle in. I got that center bolt torqued. I have to torque the 6 axle nuts to 66 foot-pounds. And that's about it. Oops. Once that is done, then I'll go ahead and fill the transmission up with oil. And that should be it. And then I'll put the pan back on. Actually, I'll leave the pan off just so I can do a visual, in a day or two. I'll go drive the car and I'll do a visual. But it looks like everything else is good to go. Everything is together. I'm just making sure I don't forget anything. I do have to remember the sway bar here. I have to lock that in. This is tight. This is tight. Yeah, I tightened everything. So I'm good. And now comes the fun part here. Pumping the oil up into there. Hoping to spill as little as possible. Initial impressions are that it feels pretty normal. I'm not going very fast right now. I'm stopping at a red light. So I'm going to see now when I get on the highway. Let's see what happens. If I feel any kind of irregular vibrations or something like that. Let's see. Alright, well, I'm just sitting in traffic. I'm going 15 miles an hour. Can't really do much. Can't test the transmission. Going 15 miles an hour. Okay, I think I just passed an accident here. Let's see if maybe I can get going a little bit. Before, when I would get to like about 85 miles an hour, I would feel, it's just some harshness, some NVH they call it, noise vibration harshness. And I don't know if it was speed related or if it was RPM related. Due to the fact that the transmission was a little low on oil. So, let's see, okay, now I'm going 70, 74, and it feels fine. I don't know, I'm not noticing any difference in the transmission. So, I just want to get up to a little faster. Let's see. It feels fine. Yeah. I think it's good. Fingers crossed. Time will tell. You know me. Gotta get into the track. The only way to know is to get to the track. Let's see. 5th gear. 6th gear. It feels pretty good. That's gonna wrap up the video on the transmission for the GT3. I'm going to take it for a drive now. Let's see what happens. I'll actually film while I'm driving, which I will probably post before this part of the video. So by that time, you're gonna know whether it worked or not, before I know right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I know Piggy also, you know, my little faithful companion, she's over here ready to go, because, you know, that's what she does. So that's it. I'm hoping everything is fine with the car. That CV joint really gave me a fight putting it back in. It's always easier either to change the whole CV shaft or the axle, or take it out. But to take it out, you got to take the whole hub out. It's just a mission. So anyway, I don't know. At the end of the day, it probably would have been easier to just remove it, but whatever. It's done. I put the oil in the transmission, connected the sway bars, so it's good to go. Let's see what happens now. I'm gonna go for a drive right now. So again, like, as always, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. Leave me any comments, all of that sort of stuff. And until the next one, thanks for watching. Let's see what happens now. Let's go for a drive. Red Rocket, Red Rocket.